mostly with a couple of thank yous specific to your previous meeting. And I know we're going to be talking about the state legislative program on the agenda, but last meeting you modified the federal legislative program relative to non-motorized transportation by adding the words "and restore."
Excuse me one second, Eric. Can you close that door, please? Thank you very much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
By adding the words "and restore" to the funds that were cut in this current 2-year bill. And I'm hoping that we have a robust continuing dialogue and agenda items to look at the federal transportation reauthorization, because it was only a 2-year bill, so that we can see and have a hand in the progress of whatever comes next, whenever it comes. In the meantime, it would be worthwhile having a report on any impacts of sequestration, either immediate or anticipated. My understanding is transportation, aside from air traffic control, is somewhat insulated from the immediate effects. And stating that sequestration could be a problem is not to be taken in any way, shape, or form as a post facto appeal for Congress to have made and crammed through some last-minute deal that might have been worse. Because I continue to believe that both in Sacramento and in Washington, the process should be orderly enough that we, the people, should always see what's in front of our legislators before they vote on it. And backroom deals up against deadlines should simply be against the law. Thank you.
Ms. Nelson, followed by Dean Sensor, please.
Is SLOCOG normally 3 minutes?
It's normally, but we're so far behind right now, Janice, that we need to just move along if we can. I could lose my quorum at 12:30.
Janice Nelson, beautiful Paso Robles. This is my first time to SLOCOG meeting. I do try to stay informed at the city planning and board of supervisors meetings. I'm New York born, so I know the value of subways, buses, trains, and cabs when I could afford one. As an older kid, my bike got me all over the San Fernando Valley. Later, the bus got me to LA for my first job. Air and transportation concerns had me with bike lanes and carpooling. But now I'm concerned with mandates, regulations, controls, and rightly so. Looking at your website for this meeting, I am amazed by the 2 pages of glossary terms. It's like alphabet soup, you guys. And ladies. I came here today to say, to keep it simple, this is not an attack on big government per se. However, government has long arms and the overreach is alarming to me. Please use a critical eye of what the state and the federal people bring before you. Personally, it appears to me that the baby, the controls, is a wash in Kool-Aid, and both should be thrown out. I arrived here at 8:15, not aware of the RTA meeting, so if I leave early, please don't see that as a lack of interest. I have a time constraint myself. Thank you.
Mr. Sensor, followed by Tom Dawson, please.
Dean Sensor. Some of you might have had a chance to see 60 Minutes this last week, the tragic story of Clay Hunt and the suicide, a U.S. Marine. Father, friends, killed in battle. And there's a Faces of Freedom. It's a $1 million memorial over in Atascadero. It has the people that died for freedom. Well, my point is this. Public comment should be listened to by all these boards, never disrespected, as some did last week, of arrogance, disregard. People that come up here are not coming up here just to talk. They do due diligence on a lot of their projects, what they look into. It is a difficult time. Government is getting more and more, and sometimes they think they're getting smarter. Well, just the last issue, your bag issue. You know, 4 people died from the bag issue? You know, I wouldn't call that smart. There's a lot of areas that you up there listen to, and people make fun of it. Like, we want to come up here, take a bus, on 3 buses, spend 2 hours on a bus, come over here, give us our public comment, and then we're disregarded and mocked. I don't find that pleasing. I'm going to give you respect up there. We should have respect down here. There's a lot of items. There's a lot of problems. Look at the last one here. What happened there? Who's to blame there? Maybe if the public comment was listened to, they wouldn't have that problem. They wouldn't be resurfacing it. There wouldn't be 40 people in a room complaining about it. This public comment is important, respected for the people. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the last session a month ago, Mr. Strong indicated he sincerely believes that we can use the good parts of Agenda 21 no matter who wrote it. Sustainable development, smart growth is a mixture of practical planning, environmental theory, and socialist ideology that are interlaced together by very subtle professionals. The U.S. Congress never approved UN Agenda 21, as Mr. Strong says. However, UN Agenda 21, by executive order, has been implemented into most agencies of the federal government. Most grants coming to local areas are full of smart growth and sustainable development requirements in order to get that money, as you well know. So how do you throw out the socialist bathwater and keep the constitutional baby? Since this program was developed by slick professionals, I recommend that you hire a team of highly qualified constitutional attorneys to sort out the good stuff and protect the cities and county from inevitable litigation, which I believe has already started with the Acceleron and some of the others. After all, if, I'll skip that, Mrs. Marx, being an attorney, knows very well how influence systems work without ever being legally obligated. Please pass informed resolutions against the bad parts of these schemes. Please hold public discussions that demonstrate your knowledge of positive and negative aspects of this cleverly designed agenda. As other states and counties have researched the pitfalls of these things, they have actually made resolutions against or completely outlawed these programs.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I wanted to address some comments that Mr. Strong made last week, but now I won't have time. So I do want to thank him for publicly supporting the rights of individuals in his statement. As adoptive parents of 5 beautiful people, 4 of whom are African American, we are a black family. So we are people who are walking the civil rights talk. And we are doing so because we're investing our very lives in our children. We strongly believe in the rights of individuals to express their natural creativity and productivity. And we come here to speak so that they will have that opportunity of expression. To that end, we expect protection of our constitutional rights, our property, personal property, and business. We expect appropriate federal power, which translates very little. We like strong local government, representatives who will engage in healthy debate, discussions, who will hear our voices and care for our concerns, and who will push back on the federal powers. And that's who we are. We've invested our heart and our soul in the rights of the individuals. And who are you? We're asking you today to define your terms, especially the ambiguous ones, to provide actual statements that shed light on your points of view, transparency in policies, and we affirm that we're educating ourselves and expressing our concerns for our sake and for the sake of the next generation, our children. We're not the enemy, unless, of course, there is a hidden agenda. Thank you.
Mr. President, supervisors, mayors, my name is Ted Gilbert and I live at 1714 Kings Drive in Paso Robles. And isn't this greenhouse gas coming down today a wonderful thing? I have a lot of happy barley out there right now, and we need a lot more. Now, some comments about our atmosphere. At 30,000 feet right here, why we have about 80% of our atmosphere that's above ground. By magic, if we could take and get rid of the greenhouse gas, get rid of it. Tomorrow at this time, what do you think the temperature would be right here? Well, maybe not in the building, but out in the street. It would be right at 40 degrees below zero. At about 65,000 feet, why the temperature is about 55. So the temperature will keep on going down. Without greenhouse gases, we can't survive. Our plants that we have growing, whether it's trees or bushes or barley, or everything that grows, appears to be best served during the bloom and during when the seeds or fruit is developing, be best with about 1,200 parts per million CO2. CO2 is our friend. Well, also something with more CO2, it looks like, and this is some of the Chinese work and other work and everything, you use less water.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. I'm going to have to cut you off at that point, but thank you for the information.
Good morning, my name is Kelly Sutherland. I live down in Arroyo Grande. Coming to talk today about some comments that were made last month at the SLOCOG meeting by two of the members of the board and the County Council, where they were somewhat dismissive to members of the public who came to speak about UN Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, Smart Growth. I don't really care what you all call it. There are three main pieces of legislation that are being followed in California to complete the transformation and socially re-engineer our lives. That's SB 375, AB 32, and AB 2785. That's the California Essential Habitat Connectivity legislation, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I didn't print out the entire text because, of course, it's hundreds of pages, but it does look like this is the cover, and it does look like this. Inside the California Essential Habitat Connectivity Project, which was the document that came out of AB 2785, they identify and inventory animal migration and vegetation corridor systems throughout California, connecting large blocks of government-owned or regulated land with private property that is held by our citizens. Please note that the funding of this project was from the Federal Highway Administration and Caltrans. You can see their logos at the bottom. And this report was prepared for Caltrans and Fish and Game in June of 2008 through February of 2010. And I'm quoting directly from the document here. The California DOT, Caltrans, and California Department of Fish and Game, now known as Fish and Wildlife. Oh, I've run out of time. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, our enemies are not shooting bullets at us, but ideas like smart growth, sustainable development, climate action plans, regionalism, the 3 E's, social justice, CO2 equivalent, dialogue, Endangered Species Act, CEQA, EIRs. The list goes on and on. This is the taking. This is the book, the Earth Summit, Agenda 21. It exists. It's what, 300 and some pages. I know some of you've read it. In fact, I know all of you know about this. And the jokes and the innuendos that you throw at us, get over it. Because what I like to say is, I think that we should put all this together, create a smart village, put you all in it, have you live it, and then vote on it. Because this is not how I want to live. This is not the U.S. Constitution. This is a domestic terrorism. And when you read, this is just the beginning. And you have not read all the documentation, and the flow down into all the climate action plans is the language from this. So if if you don't recognize it's from the UN, I'm sorry about that. But you don't have to have it directly pumped in. It is there. And you should be protecting our rights, because that is what is at risk.
Now, I was walking down the street just the other day when two fine-looking women folk happened to walk my way. Now, one said, "Something stinks." The other one said, "You right." Then I started slipping and sliding, and I knew something wasn't right.
Stepped in what? Stepped in what? Stepped in what?
Now, everybody knows. They say the smell of the fellow, but everybody knows just what it is. Now there's some four-legged creature out playing on my mind. He's got a ham bone on his breast and evil in his hind. I'm gonna find myself a stick and scrape off these blues, and go on down to the DAV and buy myself some shoes.
Stepped in what? Stepped in what? Stepped in what?
Now everybody knows. They say smell of the fella, but everybody knows just what it is. I carry me a roll of paper towels in my briefcase every night. Got me a can of Lysol too, and that makes everything right. And there's them same two women folk I just saw the other day, and they both got sticks scraping off their shoes with their heads turned the other way.
Stepped in what? What is stepped in? Stepped in what?
Now everybody knows. They say smell of the fella, but everybody knows just what it is. Now they say what goes around comes around, and I know that's got to be true. So don't you folks be laughing too hard, cause next time it might be you. And if it ever happened to you, well, that's really not a sin. And what's this I feel underneath my shoe? I done made that same mistake again.
Stepped in what? Stepped in what? Stepped in what?
Everybody knows. They say smell of the fella, but everybody knows just what it is.
Stepped in what? Stepped in what? Stepped in what?
Everybody knows. They say smell of the fella, but everybody knows just what it is.